This is a photograph taken of the village of Cusi in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. And this is the village where I was born in 1925. My father worked there as a mining engineer starting in 1922 and finally retiring from here in about 1937. And this picture was taken much later, and so some of the buildings were pretty decrepitated by the time this photograph was taken. So it was a very beautiful setting, and I remember that some of my happiest days were spent while we were living here when I was just a boy growing up at the time, and I really had a great childhood living in this area.
Tell us about the burro and the drive-by shooting.
Well, one of the things that I had while I was living in Cusi, for my Christmas, I believe in about 1934, 35, I was given a burro or donkey for a Christmas gift, along with the bridle and harness, saddle, and so forth. And so I quickly learned how to ride the burro, which I named Peter. And he, of course, at the time we had a mozo or yard man whose name was, oh boy, trying to think of what his name was, but anyway, we were very good. Frederico. Our yard man's name was Frederico, and we became very close friends. Of course, he was fairly middle-aged, and I was just a young kid at the time. But anyway, he took care of our garden and provided the fireplace wood, cleaned out the fireplaces every morning, lit the fire, but part of his job was looking out for me as I was growing up, and of course he and I used to participate in a lot of adventures together. He was not very large, he was not a very large man, and we could both ride on our burro at the same time. I would ride in the saddle and he would ride bareback right behind me, and we covered a lot of ground with our Peter. And one day we were charging along down a little road and happened to cross a neighborhood yard man that I disliked very much. And so as we galloped along, I happened to have a BB gun with me, and I just pulled the BB gun out of its holster and took a pot shot at Pablo, and unfortunately I happened to hit him right in the neck, and he got pretty angry, of course, at being attacked, and confiscated my BB gun. But anyway, we went on, and eventually I got the BB gun back again, so things finally settled down. But that was just one of the adventures that I had while we were living in Cusi. I had the chance to do a lot of hiking and mountain climbing and so forth when I was growing up, and really enjoyed the area and the surrounding area. Part of the time I had some playmates, but a good part of the time I didn't. There were about five or six American families living there, working for the same mining company, and one or two of the families had children about my age, so I could play with them while they were there, but they weren't there all the time, so I had to rely more on Federico for companionship than I did on other playmates.